If you've been practicing regularly, but feel that you're still not making progress, or your progress is perhaps slow or inconsistent, the problem is very rarely effort. It's usually the structure of your practice. And what I want to do in this video is show you a much clearer way of approaching your practice, so that instead of simply repeating things over and over again, you improve and really solve the underlying problems. So what I often see is pianists playing through a passage. They notice something's not quite right, so they play it again and again and again, and they keep repeating. And it feels like they're putting a lot of effort in and practicing, but in reality, things don't really change. In a worst case scenario, you can actually be practicing mistakes and making the mistakes even more ingrained under the fingers. Sometimes it feels like things are improving slightly, but it's still not really reliable practicing in that way. So the key shift is we're not going to simply practice by repeating something, but we're actually going to solve the underlying problems. And once this becomes clear, everything about your practice can be much more focused and effective. Let me use an example in a moment or two of how we might go about this. And what you'll see is that if a passage isn't working, instead of just keep repeating it, we're going to reduce it to a very small section, and I recommend just 3 or 4 notes. Work on that part slowly and get complete control over it. So there's evenness of tone. If it's hands together, the balance of the hands is correct. There's freedom of movement in the hand. There's not unnecessary tension. Rhythmically, it's really strong. The fingering is all sorted. And there's that high level of control. Here's an example. Mozart's Rondo alla Turca, which I'm sure many of you will know. Very famous piece of piano music. There's a section in the middle, around the middle, with some semiquaver passage work. And I frequently hear problems there. I might hear it played a little bit like this. And you can hear the unevenness in the rhythm there. So what we're going to do is focus on obviously the right hand, but we're going to find the place where the unevenness is occurring. So it's there. It's where I'm crossing the thumb over, or crossing over the thumb, but there's a little bit of a bump in the rhythm. That's the problem. We've defined the problem. Now we focus on just 3, maybe 4 notes. So I'm going to play very slowly that bit where the thumb crosses over. A couple of times. Maybe with a different rhythm. Then I'm going to expand out. I'm not increasing the tempo yet. I'll expand out a bit more. And I'm really focusing on control. My fingering is secure, there's no unnecessary tension, and the notes are very even. Then I put it back together. Then I can gradually look at increasing the tempo. So we're really pinpointing the problem, narrowing it down to a small number of notes, building the control. What often happens in practice is pianists try to solve everything in one go. They keep playing a passage over and over again, trying to increase the tempo, but before the control and the security is really there. But this method of practicing, just working on small sections and focusing on slow practice, is really beneficial. It's not a speed problem, it's control. Nearly always, if the control and the fingering and everything is secure, the speed will come later. And this can apply to lots of different situations that you're practicing. Sometimes the issue might be rhythm, it may be coordination of the hands, it may be there's tension, it may be the fingering isn't secure, or maybe the accidentals, the pitch of the notes isn't quite secure. But working on 3 or 4 notes and slow practice will help you solve those problems. Now, what I found is lots of pianists sort of understand a lot of this, but they don't necessarily have a clear structure of how they can incorporate this into their practicing. And that's perhaps where their progress sometimes feels slower or unpredictable. So what I've done is I've put together a structured practice system that brings all of this together. It will show you how to clearly define problems in your pieces, how to reduce material to a small number of steps, how to build things up step by step. I've put together a 60-minute suggested practice structure, and you can obviously expand this out if you've got more time. So if you'd like to explore all of this in a lot more detail, I've put a link to my practice system in the description of this video, so do check it out. And I'm sure you'll find that even just making one shift from not just repeating problems, but taking time to work out what is causing the problem and working on really small sections slowly, that will make a significant difference in your practice and help you to be more effective in the way in which you use your practice time. This will also enable you to be much more consistent and secure in your piano playing generally and in your performances.